Today's interview is with Anthony Zotto. Anthony has a cool story. He's only 22 years of age, but he already has 4 units, 2 duplexes. He talks about how he made this happen and how he made it work. He has an interesting story about how he figured things out because he had trouble getting financing being so young and not having a long history of work. So it's an inspirational story about finding ways to make things work, right? And not taking no for an answer. So I think we can all learn from that. So stick around for all of that. As always, like and subscribe on Wrestling with Real Estate, the YouTube channel. Go to the WWRE Podcast and give me a 5-star rating and write me a review. It really does help build this platform for us to continually give you guys some great content. And I'm looking to speak to as many of you as possible. If you're interested in real estate, in whatever capacity that is, I'd love to talk to you, get to know you, see if there's any way whatsoever I can help you. So go to the link in the description down below or go to wrestlingwithrealestate.com and sign up there. But before that, enjoy today's awesome interview with Anthony Zotto. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barri Griffiths. Now today we're joined by Anthony Zotto. Hey Anthony, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you, Barry?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm starting the year off right. It's the second day of the first week of the new year, so I'm excited, man. How about yourself?
Good, doing good. I'm excited. It's going to be a great year.
Yeah, for sure, right? It can't get any worse than 2020, I guess, right, to some people. But even though 2020 was a great year for me as well, so no complaints. Well, hey, man, I'm excited to dive into the conversation and get this conversation going. But before that, do you want to give us an idea about your background, what you've been up to, and what you're up to these days?
Sure. So I'm 22 years old. I graduated from college in May. Right now, I'm an RV salesman. But I bought my first deal and I was a junior in college. We used some partnerships. It was a good deal. And then I purchased my second deal a couple months ago. So right now I'm just saving up some money, getting ready to make a move, hopefully in the first quarter of this year.
Very cool, man. Yeah, interesting. So I got to ask you, you told me beforehand, I didn't ask you, I wanted to save it for the interview, is RV salesman, right? How did you get into that?
So, like I said, I graduated in May, and then with the virus, there wasn't much work opportunity. So my cousin is good friends with the sales manager over there. So I was just, at the time, I was just delivering pizzas and just trying to find employment. And he's like, hey, would you ever think about selling RVs? He's like, there's some opportunity. It's a growing business. I said, yeah, I'll try it. So I've been there for like 4 or 5 months, and it's been great so far.
Wow, yeah. What did you go to school for?
So I graduated with a bachelor's degree in business administration with a minor in marketing. So It does relate to sales a little bit, but yeah.
So with out of interest, out of that degree, what were you thinking that you'd do with that degree? What was your hope in terms of employment?
So actually, I graduated. So it's kind of like in high school, like my parents were saying, go to college, get a degree, see what you can do. So that's kind of just the path that I was going down. I didn't really have an end game. I still don't have an end game. I'm just kind of winging it and seeing what comes and goes and seeing what sticks. But yeah, I have no idea. I mean, for sales so far, it's been fun. You meet a lot of cool people. I like the performance-based pay as well. You just kind of make as much as you want. And yeah, so I don't know. It's been fun so far. I'll ride it out, see what happens, and go from there.
Yeah. No, hey, trust me, I was the same. All I wanted to do was go to college, and I didn't want to go to college because of the education. I wanted to go to college because I get away from home and I could drink or whatever. Right? Have a good time. So trust me, I completely know it. And I didn't even. At least you came out with a degree. I came out with nothing. Like school.
That's all right.
School didn't resonate with me at all. I was not a good scholar at all. But so the sales aspect is interesting, right? You're selling and the RV thing, of course, but sales, right? Sales is such an important component. So I think that's really cool that you got into that. Okay, maybe a bit of luck with it involved in getting into that, but once you learn the sales skill, right? And the word sales gets thrown around so much, and people are like, they get turned off by the word sales, but everything is sales, right? You hear it all the time, and it sounds cliche to say that, but everything is sales, right? You're trying to sell your wife to go watch the movie you want to go do, or you try to sell your kid to like do what you wanted to. Like everything is sales, right, to a certain degree. And of course, with real estate, it's an important
Yeah,
tactics.
it's a very like a transferable skill, I guess.
Sure, right? Yeah, you can use it in so many different aspects of your life. Did they give you any sales training? Are they teaching you anything about sales, or is it more like trial by fire? Hey, go sell these RVs.
Yeah, so basically that's what it is. I mean, it was 2 days in a classroom. I've never been in an RV in my life before I started there, so it's kind of like they teach you the process, but as far as like product knowledge and stuff, I'm kind of starting to learn that. But yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, kind of trial and error. Just kind of throw you out there and say, figure it out.
And have you learned any real strategies this far? Or are you still like, because you said you've been doing it about 5 months now, right? Are you still figuring it out, or have you learned some stuff already?
Yeah, so the sales process, which they did teach pretty well, that was good. But yeah, the product knowledge is coming. There's a lot of different brands and sizes and a bunch of crazy things. But yeah, it's coming.
How are RV sales? Are they up, down? Maybe I imagine that might be up because more people, they have free time. Maybe now that they want to travel, or they just want to buy an RV, so they're not in the. I don't know. How
Yeah,
are sales?
it's been so I got in, I guess, at a pretty good time. That's what the manager was saying. He's like, hey, he's like, give it a try. He goes, the industry's never been this hot. So I was like, oh yeah, I thought he was just kind of selling me to get the job. I like try it. I was like, all right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But no, I guess it's like the hottest it's ever been. The problem now is a lot of places like RV parks, they're filling up. So all these people have RVs. There's nowhere to even go with them because it's so just a popular hobby. I guess.
Really, it's that popular.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, because obviously with real estate, it's important to pay attention to demographics, right? It's like, it plays a huge part in what we do. So that's such an interesting concept that these parks are so full of people, that so many people are doing this right now. Wow, that's really interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then what do you get a sense of why it's so popular right now in terms of why people are buying so much?
I think it would be mostly people probably are skeptical about hotels, airlines, that kind of thing, and they just kind of want a quick getaway. So just probably having complete control over when and where they can travel. That's what I would think.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Yeah, I met a few people that actually recently have bought an RV and kind of just for the last 3 months, because they haven't been working and whatnot, decided, hey, this might be the only chance we ever get to like go travel, like put the kids in the RV and go travel the country and go to all these experiences, right, that they may never have had before. Right.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique time, and definitely if RVs, I mean, they are, like I said, I didn't know anything about them before, but now after working there, I mean, I wouldn't mind having one, just to get away. And they are nice.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so you said you started investing how many years ago? You bought your first investment property?
So I was in my junior year of college, so I was 21.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So what brought that on? Like, obviously, like when I was 21, like, you would kind of get an idea where I was at in life at 21, right? I definitely wasn't thinking about real estate investing. I don't think I was thinking much about my future at all. But it's interesting at 21 that you had that realization that you wanted to start investing. Where did that come from?
So so when I was younger, I mean, long story short, parents got divorced. My dad had to pay my mom money every month, and he was trying to figure out how to make it work. And his brother, so my uncle, was just purchased like a student rental at a local college near us. So he was like, hey, give it a try. It can't hurt, and it should be able to cover the bill, and everything should work. So he's like, yeah. So he did that, and it worked. And he's like, whoa, I can kind of do this. I can scale this. So he started doing that. And so as a kid, I just kind of grew up like, mowing the lawns and just being around real estate and like going on showings with him. And so I kind of knew like even in college, I knew like my first house before college, I was like, my first house, I want to be like a house hack, so like live in a floor, rent out the other one, and just kind of get my feet wet. But so I was in college. I had some money saved up, but I couldn't get a loan. And but I knew my market pretty well. Just from like, I was always on Zillow and Realtor. So I remember I was sitting in science class, and I was like doodling out, and I was like, all right, I have the money for the down payment. I was like, I can't get a loan. I didn't know anything about hard money at the time. But my older brother, he's 2 years older than me. He had just recently gotten a job. So I was like, oh, maybe he would be interested. So I shot him a text and said, hey, you ever think about doing like what Dad's doing with real estate? And he's like, yeah, I've actually been thinking about that. So talked with him. He got the loan. I had the down payment, and we purchased our first duplex.
Sorry, man. I was on mute. The trash guy was driving by. But that's so smart of you. That's really smart of you to able to figure out that, right? Because a lot of people, well, for one, it's awesome that at 21 you're figuring out, hey, I see my dad have success with this. This is something I want to do. So for one, I think that's so cool that you had that mindset so early on. But then you're like, oh, I can't get a loan, right? You know what a lot of people would have done? They would have gone, can't get a loan. This isn't for me. This is not going to work out, right? But I love that you were like, hey, how can I make this work? This, like, if I've got a deal and it makes sense and I have the money and I want to invest in this, how can I make that work? And you leveraged your brother's job and his ability to get that loan and then to buy it, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So one of the main things, or like I remember one thing that stuck in my head. I was like a freshman in college. I was just getting like my feet wet as far as content with books and podcasts, everything like that. And I remember Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets. He said whenever like you're stuck at a point like that, his mindset is always like, all right, it's not I can't do it, it's how can I do it?
Yeah.
So that's something that's always kind of stuck with me, and I still use that, every day. If something's hard, you think, okay, I can't do it, and it's like, how can I do that? So it's just a mindset change that definitely has helped me.
For sure, man. That is such a cool thing. Like, I love that. Like, I think Robert Kiyosaki talks about that in Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's not like I can't. Don't say I can't afford it. Say how can I afford it, right? What does it take to buy that, right? But adding to that, right? Don't say I can't do it. Figure out how can I do it, right? There's a way to do everything, right? Someone's always doing what you want to do or doing something somewhere. So it's always can be done. You've just got to figure it how to do it. And I also heard a good thing recently is like, not only don't just say how, say who do I need to know to do that as well, right? Because a lot of times it just knowing the person. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it or figure it out yourself. You just have to know that one person that can help you get there. But man, that's such a cool mindset shift to have, because it just opens up the world right then, right? It's like if you're always telling yourself, no, I can't have that, no, I can't do that, no. Well, yeah, no's the answer, right? But if you say, well, what if, or maybe if I can do this, or how do I do this, or who do I need to know to do this? Well, even if you don't achieve it, right, at least you've opened your mind and something else might pop up and you're just open to that, man. It's crazy how simple mind shift that things can change the whole world, right? Like what is that saying? Change the way you if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, or something along those lines.
Oh, I never heard that. That's good though. I like that.
But it's so true, right? Like, two people can be looking at the exact same thing, but if they change the way that they look at it, it can change into something else. So that's so cool, man. So tell me about the deal. Like, what was so good about this deal that you wanted to go ahead and buy it?
Yes. So it was on. So I'm from Troy, New York. It's where I live, and that's where my dad was investing at the time. So like I was saying, we were familiar with the market. So houses were like, our price point was around 150 to 170 in that range. Well, 170 would be pushing it.
Yeah.
So we're looking around, and there was a house, MLS. We'd find a house, it'd be gone in 2 days. Find a house, be gone in 2 days. We're like, man, we're tough luck here. We can't get anything going.
Yeah.
So then I actually was on Zillow, and I put in like date from oldest to newest. So something that's been on the MLS is the longest house on there.
Yeah.
So this house was up there for like over 100 days. And the inside, I was just going through the pictures. The inside looked great. It was in a great area. So I was like, man, why isn't anybody taking this yet? So I live about 10 minutes from the property. So I drove by it. And when you pulled up to the house, the front porch was slanted at like I don't know, it was bad. Like if you stand on it, you might fall over. So like, oh, geez, I was like, that's why nobody's touching it. So I was talking to my dad. I was like, yeah, I drove by that house. It was, it looked like it had some structural issues, this and that. And he's like, oh, let me call. So my dad has like a good network of people that he's been using. He's like, let me call my buddy. He might be able to take a look at it. So called a friend of his who worked for code enforcement for the city. And he said, he looked up like the address and the tax code and everything. He was like, hey, that's not a structural issue. That's something that can be fixed easily, like under $5,000. You just got like a footing slipped and you'd had to put some concrete, whatever. It was $5,000 fix. I was like, oh, wow. So I was like, all right, so let's pretend that the porch is fixed, and let's look at it that way, since it's going to be $5,000. And that's what we did. And it needed new kitchens, new bathrooms, but if we got it for the right price, we knew we could make it work. So we figured, hey, if we throw a number at them, I think it was listed for 180. We said, all right, it needs about probably $20,000 in work between 2 kitchens, 2 bathrooms, and the porch. So we threw 160 at them. They counted at 160, one high 160s. We ended up getting it for like 164. So yeah, that's how that house started. And then we went in there. Actually, one floor was rented, one was not. So right off the rip, we were getting some cash. But it wasn't covering the mortgage or anything like that. So while the first floor, people were living there paying $875 a month. Second floor was vacant. So we went in, hired a contractor, did the kitchens, bathroom, sand and poly the hardwood floors, and they're both. Sorry, I should have said this in the beginning. 2 3-bedroom.
Okay.
So 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1 bath upstairs. Yeah, duplex. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went in there, did the top floor, and that rented for $1,300 a month.
Wow.
So now we were making a little bit of money, just past break even, with taxes, expenses, insurance, everything like that. And then downstairs lease was up. They moved out, did the same thing to the bottom floor, and that also rents for $1,300 a month. So it was a good move, and it was a lot of learning lessons, but it was definitely a great first property.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how did you bought it with traditional financing, or did you guys put 20% down, or did you guys plan on living in one of the?
So we did. Yeah, it was 20% down, and then what did we do? It was 20% down, and then it was 20% down, and then we saved up the money from after we got the first floor done, and that built up, and then we did the first floor. So, but yeah, it was traditional financing. Yeah, actually, we were calling around banks. So, little background information on my brother. He graduated from Siena, and he was new to his job, so he was only there for like a year. This is the person who got the loan.
Yeah.
And we called around all these banks, got denied because of his work experience. He had minimal work experience. So actually, this one bank we found in like Kentucky, they wanted his college transcripts. And they said, if you have a job in your field, sometimes they can make it work like your transcripts or college experience, they can plug that in as work experience. And that's what they ended up doing. So it ended up working out great.
That's awesome. How many banks did you guys call before you found that one?
I think it was like 5 or 6, because that's one, like, we only really call like the big ones like in our area, because we were kind of like, because we were kind of new to this. But yeah.
The reason I'm asking that is, like, again, like just like the deal you found and you couldn't get financing, most people, can kind of give up, right? And I just want to say that so that people can understand that a lot of times it takes calling 5 or 6 banks, right? It takes finding a partner that's going to sign on the mortgage to get that lender. It takes extra steps rather than just being like, hey, I'm buying this and it's done, right? It takes extra steps, and you've got to be willing to take those extra steps. And I think with financing as well, people have always got to realize that a lot of banks are going to tell you no, right? And that doesn't mean that it can't be done. I think a lot of people think that all banks are the same and all loans are the same, right? If you're buying a 20% property with 20% down, traditional financing, right? It's in one box and that's it, right? But as you just explained then, that's a great example of a certain bank be able to, blur the lines a little bit, right? And move it to a certain, just move it a little bit this way and makes the loan work, right? And I think that's a great example, right? Where he was able to use the transcripts from his college years to qualify for this loan. And another bank would have said no, and people might have given up and never done the deal. So I think that's, I think there's big lessons there for people. Like, don't take the first no or the second no, right? Let them tell you no 20 times, okay? And after you've had 20 no's, all right, maybe think about trying to find a different way, or it can't be done. But don't give up after 1 or 2.
Yeah, my answer, like whenever a bank tells you no, it's like, all right, it's like, why? So then they'll say, okay, is it your income? Is it? So then they came back, work experience, income. So then once they tell you why, now you say, okay, that's what I got to work on. That's what I have to focus on to start fitting in the boxes.
Yeah, man, that's another great piece of advice, right? You've got to figure out why they tell you no, or what. You've also, with financing, it's a bit of a game, right? You've got to figure out what they want. Banks want certain things, and there's ways around how you can get to what they want, right? And if you understand what they're looking for, well, you want to be a good borrower, right? You want to be someone that they want to loan to. So figure out what they want, right? Okay, obviously it's credit score, it's liquidity, right? All this kind of stuff, right? But does experience come into it? Does it having a team come into it? Does having a property manager come in? Like, what things can you do to make yourself a stronger borrower? And as you said there, like, just by asking, like, hey, what do you guys need? If they tell you no, what do you guys need? Okay, I need to figure that piece of the puzzle out so I can have that, man. That's really cool. So what does that deal look like now? Is it like how much kind of cash flow you guys make?
Yeah. So right now, actually, we have it's at a 4.5% interest rate. So we're in the middle of refinancing that. But right now it cash flows 850 a month, which I'm 50-50 partners with my older brother. So we split, say, $400, 425 a month.
Yeah.
And then that's with taxes, insurance, maintenance. That's everything thrown in there.
That's a great deal, huh?
Yeah, and actually during our refinance, so like I said, we bought for 165, 164 in that range. We put some money into it. Say we put 25, 30 grand into it, and just appraised at 213, which is nice. So it's just nice to have that little back, like on the back burner, where it's like, okay, I can, take a deep breath. We got some equity. We can, it'll, if we ever needed to, we're not underwater. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you can also, are you guys just doing a regular refi, or are you guys doing a cash out refi?
We're just doing a regular refi to drop the rate down. Yeah.
Okay. But then you have that equity in that home, right? You have the difference between what you bought it and what it's worth now. And if you want at some point, you may be able to do a HELOC or even do a cash out refinance further down the line and pull that money out and use it for another deal. So that's really cool. Now, I think you said you did a second deal, right? That wasn't just your
own.
Yep. Yeah. Tell me about your second deal.
So this happened actually this past May. So first house, tenants are in there, everything's going good. Learned a lot of lessons as far as like management and handling tenants and what problems to deal with when. So we learned all that, which was good. And then so second house was this past May. So February around February. So COVID happens. Everything shuts down. I was in my last semester of college, doing class online. Gyms are closed, basketball, everything's closed, so nothing to do. So I was like, all right, I got to somehow take advantage of this time. I was reading books. I was trying not to play as many video games, just trying to be productive with my time. So I learned about like direct mail marketing. So I didn't know that there were services that did this before. So I was like, all right, if I want to do it, I got to do it myself. So what I did was I pulled up Google Maps. I have like 2 monitors in my bedroom. I had Google Maps on one, Excel on another. And what I did, and actually I split screened Excel. So Excel, Google Maps, and the county tax assessor page. So what I did was I dropped my little Google Maps guy in an area that I thought I'd want to invest in. So in that case, it was a place called like Woodrow Court. That's where I started. There's a whole area where I was looking to invest, all duplexes, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, I'll start there. So I dropped my little Google guy there. I looked to the right. There's a duplex. I was like, all right, this street's full of duplexes. There's the first one. It's like 2 Woodrow Court. So then I go to the county tax assessor's page, which if you just go to Google like your county and then put in public tax records, you can search up the property with the address, and it'll show you who owns the house. So I dragged that little guy, dropped him in front of the house, 2 Woodrow Court, typed it in my county tax assessor's office, 2 Woodrow Court. The owner's information came up and where they lived. So it was their name where they lived. So I was like, oh, all right. So then I'd copy and paste that into an Excel file. So then I'd go down the street and do it for all the houses that I thought would work for me. So I went down that street, over 3 streets up. So I did basically every duplex in a desirable area that I liked and I wanted to invest in. So I had like 250 houses at the end of the day. It took me probably almost a month to create this Excel sheet. So now I had an Excel sheet with the owner's addresses and owners' names. And some of the owners lived at the addresses and a lot of them didn't. So a lot of them didn't. That was a positive for me because I knew, okay, this is an investment property for them. So it'd be easier for them to get it off their hands as far as if they live there, they're like, okay, now I have to uproot and move somewhere else. So I got an Excel sheet, owner's name, owner's address, and the property address. And then I got 250 envelopes, started writing. I wrote the name of the owner of the house, the address where they live, put a stamp on it. And I didn't put any letter in it yet. I made all the envelopes. So now I had 250 envelopes sitting there, all ready to go with nothing in it because I didn't know what to write yet. Because I was like, I want this to be perfect because it's going to, it took me a lot of time to make these envelopes. So I wrote up a nice little letter. had like 3 of my 4 family members look it over, like, yeah, it looks good, looks good, looks good. I just simply said, hey, my name's Anthony Zotto. I saw, or I'm interested in purchasing your multifamily property in Troy, New York. If it's something that you would be interested in selling it now or anytime in the near future, give me a call. Here's my contact info, cell phone number. And then so that was all written and printed, came out of the printer, and I signed them. So then I signed all 250 with a pen. So I look, if you get a piece of mail to you, if it's printed on there by like a printer, it doesn't look it looks like junk mail. Whereas if it's actually handwritten, addressed to you, you'll draw more attention. Like, okay, let me see what's in here. So that's what I did. I mailed out 250. First week, nothing. Second week, nothing. Third week, nothing. Fourth week, somebody was like, hey, I'm interested in selling my property. So I said, okay. Went over, checked it out. It was in a little more rough condition than I wanted, but at the end of the day, I got like 11 responses. Visited about 5 or 6 of them, and then the one that I purchased. So I showed up to this property. It was on a really nice street. I was like, wow. So as soon as the guy's like, hey, it's Woodrow Court, this area that I really liked, I was like, oh wow. So I was like, no way. So I go there, I check it out, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh, I can give him like maybe like 215. I don't know. So when he goes, what do you think numbers wise? I was like, I don't know. Not just a thing in Southern sales. Never say the number first.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. I was like, what do you think? And he goes, how's 220? I was like, I said, all right, let's do it. So that's how I got that one. And actually, yeah. So there wasn't much negotiation. So he probably, I know, when he walked away, he's probably like, oh, I probably should have said 230.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. I was like, all right. So yeah, my lawyer drew up, I put it under contract. And then at the time, I should have said this before. So before the direct mail marketing campaign actually went out, I was talking to my little brother, who he had money to invest similar to I did in college, whereas he just couldn't get a loan. I still couldn't get a loan at the time. So between him and I, we had the money for the down payment. Still no way to get a loan. I reached out to my aunt, who she's in like her 50s, lives in an apartment in New York City. Never, she loves where she is, never plans on buying a home. I said, hey, would you be interested in, like maybe co-signing on a loan for me? I was like, if it's something, I was like, if you're not comfortable with it, absolutely. I totally understand. It's like something that, going signing a loan for somebody, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Because technically if I don't pay it, she's on the hook. Yeah. She goes, absolutely anything. So I was lucky to have a family member that was ready to have my back for that. So I said, all right, cool. Put it under contract. She got the loan. My brother and I came up with the down payment, and that was all rented, and it's still rented now by the same tenants, and that cash flows. We get $470 each, so like $9 something a month the cash flows. So it's been good.
Wow. So with that one, you've got traditional financing.
Yep. Through my aunt. Yep. So my aunt was able to get the loan. Yep.
Did you guys give her anything, or was she just being a good aunt and taking care of it?
She would. So we got her a big gift card to her favorite wine place. That was it though. But that's just like, I mean, yeah, as far as like, I know it sounds like you almost like equity in the deal or something like that. But she's like, no, you guys have been great. Like just having the relationship with family members. I don't know. It was just one of those things where she was happy. She's like, any way I can help. She's like, I'll be happy. She's just a great person. I was like, all right, I'll do it.
Wow.
Like, awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Yeah. But ultimately she's not bringing any equity. So yeah, she's signing on the loan. She has a thing, but sometimes you do these things for family as well, right? So that's a cool though. But what I love about that story more than anything, right? And it's kind of come through everything you've said so far, is that you're willing to do what other people aren't, right? And like you hear it all the time, right? Like, do live like others can't, so that you can live the rest of your life like others could never dream of, right?
Yep.
But it's a great saying, and it's so true. But you're doing that right now, right? How many people would spend a month, right, like with these three screens, or like these 3 pieces of information up there, right? Going on Google, finding an area that you want to be, like finding the address, putting into the accounts assessor's office, putting it into an Excel sheet, right? All this stuff, right? That alone took you a month. Then you write 250 handwritten envelopes, then 250 handwritten letters, right? And mail all these out. I think to succeed, you've got to have that mentality, right? Of I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to do what other people aren't going to do, right? Because that's how you get a deal, right? You don't get a deal a lot of times by doing everything everyone else is doing, right?
Right. I think it all starts with like, I think it ties back to just like setting goals and having a vision and just being determined to achieve them. Cause you got like an end goal. So like, for example, so my 2021 goal, I want to have $3,000 a month in net income from real estate.
Yeah.
All right. So then you got to work backwards. Just say, okay, that's where I want to go. Where am I right now? So like right now I'm like $700-800 a month. I was like, okay, there's a lot of gaps there that I got to figure out how I got to fill. So I like starting with like a goal in mind and just working backwards and just kind of like reverse engineering how to get there and what steps I got to take to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you were telling me this when we were messaging on Instagram, but for people who don't know, so you know, as you mentioned that you have a goal of $3,000 a month in income, right? Of extra rental income. What are your goals? How are you trying to achieve that?
So there's a couple different ways I'm trying to. So my one partner on the first house, he moved out of town. My brother, he moved out of town, so he was thinking about either selling me the house or putting it in mine. So we're in the middle of figuring that out. If I can qualify for a loan, because my job is a lot of commission based and I can't really count my commissions right now. So again, I'm in the same spot that I've been the two last times where I can't qualify for a loan. So I got the wheels turning. I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work. But I think eventually by the end of the year, I will be able to qualify for my own personal loan for my own traditional financing, which then I can buy my own duplex on the similar street, which if you do it by yourself, I mean, it'll cash flow around $700-800 a month if I can buy it the way I bought these. I mean, I have gotten lucky and with these last couple. I mean, just kind of the way the market has and rents but yeah, I mean, I just want to. I guess I have to figure it out. I mean, I guess the first step is going to be probably getting the house, buying my first partner out of the first house. That way to increase my my cash flow there. Stacking up some more money, seeing where I can, seeing what the market does, seeing if I can steal any houses, see what's below. I don't really know yet, but like I figure it out.
Yeah. The good thing is that you have that goal, right? Most people don't even have that goal, so I think it's going. Obviously, the great thing now as well is that you have the experience, right? You have 2 properties, man, that you like picked up. So the second one, did it need much renovation, or was it pretty much turnkey? Was it ready to go?
It was turnkey. It was turnkey. Both floors are rented. One's till May, one's till I think August. So they're both rented for a little less. So these actually, my property 1 and property 2 are about 200 yards from each other, which is nice.
Wow.
So property 1 is getting cash flowing. Well, not cash flowing. Gross rents are 2,600, 13 and 13. This is 1,225 and 1,200, and this one's actually nicer. So I'm gonna, but the tenants are great. So I'll probably, when the time comes, just give them a small rent increase or see if we can get close to that 13 number. But again, there's another way toward that goal, which I just clicked right now. Yeah. Trying to find ways to increase cash flow. And also, I have 2 garages in the back of these properties that aren't being used. So there's another way that I'm thinking about. If someone's got a classic car or equipment people love, they can never have enough storage. So figuring out different ways to just get the most out of what I have right now. That way I can get the most amount of cash flow.
Yeah, man, that's cool. That's really cool. Are you managing these yourself?
Yeah, yep. So I use my one house. I use Cozy, which is the rental, the software. Yeah. It's just simple. It stops all the late night calls that everyone talks about. It's just text message. Just kind of releases me personally from the building itself and kind of runs it as a business, whereas it'll shoot me an email saying a problem, and then I can figure out a solution on my own time, which is nice. But yeah, I manage it myself. Down the road, I do plan on totally removing myself and running it completely as a business. But right now, for the amount of work and budget we have, I'm going to self-manage.
What do you have? So you're using Cozy, like you said, but what else do you have set in place, right? Do you have handyman? Do you have contractors? Do you have plumbers, electricians? Who do you have are on call, right? Because obviously stuff goes wrong. I'm guessing you're fixing it yourself.
Yeah. So I've been lucky. My dad has a huge network of people that he uses, but actually I've been lucky through a lot of the guys I went to high school with, which also just goes back to like just it's networking, but it's just being a good guy. Like, if you're just a good guy, if nobody hates you, then if you give them a call in 4 years, hey, remember, oh, hey, what's up, man? You just start talking to them like, yeah, I hear you're doing plumbing on the side or electric work. So a couple buddies from high school, or just people I went to school with, went to a small community college in my town for just more like hands-on work, and they've graduated, and I've just stayed in touch. And yeah, so I've got a couple buddies my age, and they love the side work. So
you make a few extra dollars, right? A bit of cash in hand, yeah. A bit of beer money, yeah. They always want a bit of that, yeah. That's for sure. Oh. That's cool, man. I like that you're managing yourself as well, right? Especially early on like this, right? You're learning that skill, right? And like you said, at some point you remove yourself from that aspect of the business, but you've learned it and you understand it. So then when you do get a manager, you can manage them rightly, right? You understand what they're doing. You understand, hey, this looks like it should, or that this is not quite right, or whatever it is, right? You understand that process. So I think that's really smart. And for the time being as well, make a little bit of extra cash flow as well, right?
Yeah.
which is never bad. You mentioned it earlier. You said that there's been a few learning lessons along the way. What are those learning lessons that you think?
So number one is the lease. I think having a bulletproof lease is key. The first property, which the lease actually, we just transferred over to new ones when we renewed them, but we found something on Google, printed it off, and that was it. Whereas the second property that I purchased, those guys were already leased through a property management company because they were managing it when I purchased it. So I actually just stole their lease and I use it for the new people. But I think number one is having a bulletproof lease, because if everything's spelled out, initialed down the lease, then there's no gray areas. And it's definitely, sorry, that's my dog.
Oh, he's all good. He's all good. He's all good.
It's definitely makes things easier, because there's been some gray areas in my lease as far as parking, late rent charges, just maintenance, repair, just the way things have the structure of how things work. Whereas I thought one thing, they think another, and there's a big gray area is between on what we agreed on. So having a bulletproof lease is just definitely, I think, mitigates all kinds of risk, and it just makes everything easier. Like the new lease, and I'm in New York, so it's a tough area to definitely land. A lot of people just stay away from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my old lease was 3 pages. My new lease is 24 pages. So
okay.
It spells it all out, to snow removal, to lawn care, everything, so that everybody's on the same page when they sign. Yeah.
So when you said that there's been a few misunderstandings about parking and late fees, what were those?
So like I had a tenant on the first floor, second floor. It's a narrow driveway going down, and then it opens up into 2 in the back. So just like one person's been blocking the driveway, and just small things. I mean, really nothing major, but nothing really too major. But one thing, like my tenant on the second floor, who they actually just moved out, so I'm in the middle of that. They hung a lot of things on the wall and left them in there, like the studs. So now I got to go through caulk and repaint them. But again, there's nothing in the lease that really stated that.
Wow. So you couldn't take any of their security deposits to cover anything.
Right.
Yeah. It's cool though. It's like, learning on the job, right? This is how you really learn, right? Like by making little mistakes like that, and then you adapt and change, and you don't make that mistake again, hopefully, right?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience. And the other thing too is like I'm a young, my tenants are older than me, so if they see me, they probably, which I've been reading online, because there's other people in my situation. It's kind of like, oh, why am I going to listen to this kid? Who it's kind of weird. So I read online, a lot of people actually, younger landlords, they'll tell their tenants that they're the property manager, that they don't actually own the house. That way it's like, all right, you're not listening to me. this is a word from a higher up. You know what I mean? So that's a tip that I thought about using. I haven't used it yet, but it's always in my back pocket if I need it.
Have you found any kickback from that, from tenants, maybe not showing you the same respect they would someone older?
Yeah, I mean, so the first tenant, first house, yeah, not direct, like they didn't directly say, hey, you're young. But yeah, you could kind of just sense it's kind of like, okay, they're not going to give me the same respect as somebody older, because they think might be inexperienced. They think that I'm, got this house handed to me, and that I'm just like something like that. But no, I mean, but the sales aspect, like you were talking about in the beginning, it definitely helps because just communicating with people and trying to read their minds is where they are and where you are, and just portraying yourself as just someone who can, just be everybody being on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, cool. Well, congrats to your success, man. Two properties already, and both cash flowing nicely. That's, and with some equity as well. That's a great start. What's next for you? Obviously you said the goal of getting to $3,000 a month in rental income, but bigger than that, do you have a goal in mind, or are you just trying to still enjoy the ride for right now?
My big goal, my end goal, I mean, right now, my goals always really change because as soon as I get close to them, I just kind of push them back. But my goal right now, I mean, end goal is like 27 years old, have $10,000 net month, which is a crazy goal, but you got to set them big.
Yeah.
Net 10,000 a month, and start something new. I don't know. Again, like I was saying, I don't know. I still don't know what I want to do the rest of my life. I wasn't like growing up saying, no, I want to do this when I get older. I want to do this when I get older. I just kind of like, all right, we're just going with the flow, see what comes, see what goes. But I'd say net 10K a month by age 27, all through rentals would be nice. Yeah.
Blow that out the wall. How old are you now? 22, right?
I'm 22. I'll be 23 next January 11th, so it's coming up. But
okay,
I'm racing the clock here. But yeah,
yeah, man, you're gonna do that in 4 years easily, man. And if you're nearly at if you'll be at 3,000 by the end of this year, you'll get another 7,000 for sure. Like I'm sure you'll get there a lot sooner than you think. Especially like you being, like, as we talked about, willing to do what other people aren't, right? Like all the things that you've done so far, like to make these deals happen and to find these deals, like just having that mindset alone and that willingness to work as well is just gonna, like, I have no doubt whatsoever that you'll get there, man. So
thanks, man. I
probably in the next couple of years for sure, you'll be like, yeah, man, I'm there. It's exciting. You mentioned something as well before that. You've delayed gratification, right? You've talk about like that. What have you done and what?
Sure, yeah. So a delayed gratification. I think that's the number one key for just anything in real estate or just any goal you set that include finances. Delayed gratification is the key. I mean, I drove around a 1998 Buick that I got from my grandfather when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, whereas I had money I could go out and buy a new car if I wanted, or at least make the monthly payments, figure something out. But, driving that old thing, it built a lot of character, and it taught me, just kind of hang on, like give up the now, give up like the now happiness for future greater happiness. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, even now, like I'm like from here up, I'm wearing this. I'm in ripped sweats on my legs, man. Like I have like old shoes. I just kind of, I don't need like the materialistic things. That's not really what I'm looking for. It's not my goal. I don't want to like try to impress other people. I just want to kind of just have my goal. I'm just trying to stick with it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, there's stuff like we talked about earlier, right? That you live differently to most people live now, so you can live the rest of your life like they can never dream of, right? It's just like, exactly. You have a vision and you have an understanding of what you want to achieve, so that's easier to live like that, right? You know what you want. You want that $10,000 a month in income. You want to be a full-time real estate investor. You want that financial freedom. So it's easy to give up things that other people may want. So I love that, man. That's cool. Congrats on getting to that mindset so young, man. It's cool. No, it really is awesome. So when you got a cool story, I really like what you're doing and where you're headed, for sure. It's really cool, man. So I appreciate you sharing. But as this show's called Wrestling with Real Estate, I thought I'd better ask you some wrestling related real estate questions. The first one is, what would your wrestling name be? If you picked a wrestling name for yourself, what would it be, you think?
A wrestling name for myself. So the only one I can really think of is I'd be the Gravedigger, because growing up, there was monster trucks at like the local Times Union Center, and that's what my favorite guy was, the Gravedigger. I thought that'd be cool.
That's funny. We watch him on TV quite often. My son's even got like the Gravedigger car. Like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought you were going to say that you were a gravedigger when you were younger. I was like, oh, that's an interesting story. Cool. But I like the Gravedigger, man. That's kind of.
I just saw it, but whatever. It sounds
awesome. So every wrestler has a special move, right? It's their biggest strength. When they hit that move in the match is over, because that's what they're really, really good at. What is your special move in real estate?
I would say finding deals. just because I've always like every day, you know, a lot of people wake up, they'll check like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Like I wake up, I check Instagram, Zillow, Realtor, you know, so just being like having the pulse of the market and just really, really knowing what's for sale, what it's sold for, and just kind of finding loopholes and gaps where other people might not see.
And I think that plays into being obsessed about what you do, right? Loving like what you do, and like, you know, like when you said you wake up and you check Zillow every day, right? That's like a cool obsession, right? That's, and in a good way, right? It's like that's what you need to be. Yeah, I love that. What's been the biggest body slam you've taken in your real estate investing career?
Sorry, 1 second, Barry.
Oh, he's all good. Is it?
What was the question? Sorry.
What's been the biggest body slam you've taken in your investing career?
Biggest body slam I've taken, probably like when a renovation cost has gone over budget. So those are hard to take. But again, that's something that I've learned, that you just kind of got to like now all my budget renovation for my budget renovations, I just way over budget them. That way that won't happen again.
Yeah. Was that because of contractors giving you the wrong price, or you guys budgeted it wrong? You guys
that was just me being inexperienced budgeting it wrong.
Okay. So was there a moment that you were standing on the top rope getting ready to jump, but you were too scared? What was it, and how did you overcome it?
Top rope, too scared. I would say probably just buying the first property, because you know you work hard to save up the money for a house, and then seeing that money in your bank account and then watching it go to zero and hoping for the best off of what you know, just what you've learned and accumulated over the time is kind of scary, but it's just something that you just kind of got to do.
Yeah, and just knowing that you want to be in real estate, right? Knowing what
right.
your path is. Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool, man. Hey, thanks for sharing your story, man. It's, like I said, it's a really cool story, and I love what you've been able to do so far, and like love your mindset more than anything. Like your mindset in terms of willing to have that delayed gratification, willing to sacrifice, do what other people aren't, right, and just work hard and make it happen. So that's awesome, man. Before we go, do you want to tell people where, if people want to get a hold of you, or if they want to find out more about what you've got going on, how can they do so?
Sure. Yeah. So you can follow me at Instagram at Retire Through Real Estate. That's my Instagram name. And if anybody wants to shoot me an email, you can email me. I'll answer anybody on any questions. My email is Anthony Zotto, ANTHONY ZOTTO 518@gmail.com.
Awesome. I'll include that in the show notes in the description. Well, Anthony, thanks so much, man. Have an awesome rest of your day, bro.
Thanks, Barry. You too.